and I said, uh-oh, because it's really hard. And I came in and I met everybody, Steven and Benj and Justin and Michael and Stacy, our producer, and I sang some songs. And then they very nicely the next day asked me to be a part of the show.
What did you sing?
Waving Through a Window.
Oh, I heard that one.
Defying Gravity. I sang The Wizard and I. Just kidding.
The Wizard and I, now that would be a good audition song.
I sang Words Fail, and maybe If I Could Tell Her also. Yeah. Same?
Same!
Do you concur?
I concur. I'm not as fancy as Taylor, so I didn't, I had to learn like a 50-page packet. I slaved over that for a couple weeks. And I live in Los Angeles, so I was working with a vocal teacher there and then flew to New York for the audition. And that was stressful. Took a Soul Cycle class beforehand to just like get it all moving and
right. It seems to be required if you're going to be a part of the show. You have to take Soul Cycle.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and then auditioned, and then had a little work session with Michael Greif and one of our musical directors, Ben Cohn, and then had a final callback. And it was terrifying, and that was in front of pretty much the whole creative team. Yeah, and then I got it a couple days later.
So Steven, at this time you are aware that both of these guys are going for this. What was your experience with them?
Yeah, I got to go. It was honestly, it's a really hard audition. It must have been 45 minutes. Easy for they go through the entire arc of the show, at least.
We've got 40 minutes, so if you want to just do it here.
Exactly. With both of these guys, honestly, our response was to just kind of try to keep it cool behind the audition table because and not let on that we were too excited about them. I was like, yeah, totally, let's see it again. But we just knew the second both of them came in, they blew us away. They both presented different Evans than Ben or than each other, and but they were so fully alive and so compelling, and yeah, we just tried to not freak them out.
I love the idea of trying to play it cool. When they walk out of the room, is it like high-fiving, yeah?
No, I remember I was sitting next to Stacy, because with both of them we came to the callback, so we had been sort of forewarned. I guess it was like, you're gonna be happy with this. And then we were sitting there, and I just remember looking at Stacy and being like, I think I whispered to her, will he do it? I remember saying that, do they definitely want to do it? That was our real concern. It's like, are they gonna, yeah.
Well, it's a big deal too, because this is your Broadway debut. So
Thank you,
you are great.
He is a theater veteran. I did see him in the Burnt Part Boys at Playwrights Horizons and fell in love.
Tell me a little bit about your background as an actor in musical theater.
Musical theater. When I was 10 years old, I sang for an agent over the phone named Nancy Carson, and she was like, go to this audition. And so I went to audition for the national tour of Les Mis, the third national tour of Les Mis, and I booked that, and I went on tour with Les Mis for 9 months, and then I came back, and I played Javert,
Javert? Your Bring Him Home is
youngest
unbelievable.
Ever. Yes.
Yeah, you can go really with it.
That's right. And then I came back to New York, and I sort of became the development kid and developed a lot of new musicals, did every reading ever, played the small child in most readings in New York.
You still do.
And I still do.
Anything we would know?
I'm 23 to play 13. Anything you would know? Some Limelight, that Charlie Chaplin musical I was a part of back in the day. Some random
Tons of
stuff.
Limelight fans, they went crazy.
Oh yeah, they love that. And then I sort of The Bird Park Boys was a musical that I did when I was like 15, 16. And then I sort of like left the world of musical theater and did a lot of like intense, like dark off-Broadway plays for a few years.
Oh, yes.
Worked at like the Rattlestick for $200 a week and, you know, cried a lot. And then I went to LA to be on a TV show for a couple of years.
The Real O'Neills.
The Real O'Neills. And then, you know, I had sort of like never thought I was going to do musical theater again. I had been saying in like a long time. So this was like,
smacking you right in the face.
Yeah.
Like, we are here.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, then I was thrust into this process, and here we are.
Did you grow up like loving musicals? When was the first show you saw? Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, I loved musical theater. Love musical theater. The first show I ever saw was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Wow.
Kristen Chenoweth.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were transformed by my
very
new philosophy.
yeah,
like
very
all of us.
formative. Very formative. Yeah.
How could it not be? What about you, Taylor?
I saw like tours growing up as a kid.
Where'd you grow up, Taylor?
Tampa, Florida.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Florida.
Really? Yeah. The first Broadway musical I saw was the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I saw that and Light in the Piazza in one weekend and was changed.
Wow.
So good.
Totally different shows.
So different, but both so beautiful.
It's
Both
very
starring
hard.
Celia Keenan-Bolger at some point.
That's right. She's kind of the through line.
Yeah, totally. It still is my number one.
Have you gotten to tell her that yet?
I have, like, too many times. She's like, okay, thank you.
I love fanning out on women.
Stacey Mindich, the producer, was a big fan of theirs and basically came to them and said, is there an idea that you guys are burning to do that nobody else wants you to do, basically? Because they were at this point, where a lot of musical theater composers are, where they were getting pitched a lot of books and movies, and do you want to adapt this, and you know, those kinds of things, and she wanted something original for them. And Benj had this experience that he told her about, and then subsequently Benj and Justin told me about, where in high school, there was a fellow classmate of his who didn't really have a lot of friends, was sort of an outsider, and he died of a drug overdose. And in the aftermath of his death, all of the kids in the high school sort of, or a large portion of them started to kind of claim a connection to him that they didn't necessarily have. Everybody wanted kind of to be a part of that tragedy, and say, you know, oh, we had been friends when we were younger, or my locker was near his locker. And in the years after that, this was way before social media. This was in the mid-90s, probably.
Dial-up days.
Yeah, exactly. But in the subsequent years, you know, especially around 9/11, and then as social media picked up, Benj and Justin, and I think all of us, really picked up on that phenomenon of public grieving and kind of exhibitionism online of, you know, like whenever a celebrity died, it would be sort of like everybody needed to make it about themselves. You know, like, oh, I met him once, or he was my favorite, like this kind of strange ritual. And when we started talking, our question was sort of, well, what's behind that? There's obviously a narcissistic impulse behind that, and I want to make it about me impulse, but we were like, what's the deeper human impulse that we can all relate to? We can all.
We're both seeing vocal technician
Liz Kaplan.
I
I had a lesson with her yesterday, and Hugh Jackman was right after me, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I came out the other week and Brooke Shields was after me, and
Whoa.
I also was like,
I have on vinyl, I have the Brooke Shields recording of Grease.
Grease.
Yeah. Incredible. Go out and get it. It's great.
Is there a song that you sing?
Taylor's just making fun of me backstage.
Noah, every time I go to visit Noah in his dressing room before the show, he's listening to the Shmuel song from the last 5 years. I love the last 5 years, but the Shmuel song of all the songs.
This is a really good warm-up album, you know? That's what I usually do. I don't know if I, like, do my scales, per se, but I listen to a lot of, like, there's a nice, like, tenor vocal mix on Spotify that I found.
What's the thing that you say every day in the wings with Laura? Do you do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, right before the show, secrets. Right before the show, the whole cast at places like huddles up, gets in a little circle, and this is something that Laura's acting teacher used to say to her students when she was younger. They say, if they can't hear you, they hate you. Which is like very dramatic, but like
It's dark. It's like
very dark. But we like it. So we say it in a little group huddle. And then in addition, that came when I was there, was a passe. Everybody shoots up into a passe and says, it's very me, and says, if they can't hear you, they hate you. And then we go do the show.
Inspiring,
uplifting, gets us in the mood, you know.
Now, we all got to first meet you guys into this project with a little video that went viral. You guys probably saw a little dance video that you did.
What you're talking about.
Oh, sorry, yeah, a little dance video.
Of our video.
Of your video, yeah.
My boat.
I'm a fan, you guys, so I have to ask, will you do any of it for us right here?
But it was choreographed by Olivia Puckett, who's also in the show. Hell yeah!
I asked.
We would if we could remember
I
it.
really don't remember the choreography.
Me neither. I just remember there's like a lot of like butt stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us.
I got a duet from the show.
To all of us, by the way.
What?
Nobody in the production knew about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was completely on the road.
The day of, we all got an email saying, surprise.
It was Ben Platt's idea.
It was Ben's fault. I'm sorry, Steven, it was Ben.
Throw him right under the bus. He ain't here.
We couldn't get away with something like that because we were like new kids, you know. And I feel
Could
like
have just been fired.
Well, it was really funny because Stacey wrote an email to Benj, Justin, and I in all caps saying, "Did you guys know about this? I kind of love it."
kind of.
A lifelong Bet fan, and you're a theater kid as well. Did you have to hold back from just quoting Hocus Pocus to her all the time?
Boo! For sure. I mean, she loves it too, though. She loves the movie so much. Gavin had never seen it, and that still is a point of tension between us.
Take his Tony
I was
away.
like, you don't know
her.
art. If you haven't seen Hocus Pocus, it was very hard. For me, The Rose and First Wives Club were even more like significant. They were every day at some point during the performance. I would like see her backlit and be like, Bette Midler.
Just tell her you don't know me. Just like.
She couldn't be like lovelier. She's so normal and funny, but she's Bette Midler.
That's not what we want to hear. We want
Sorry.
to hear like she's a diva.
No.
What was it like walking away from that? I know that must have been tough, huh?
It was very sad. Gavin, Kate Baldwin, and Beanie Feldstein and myself all became very close because we spent like 20 minutes trapped in a curtained off section of the restaurant in Act 2. So there was just so many chats. We had like a card tournament going on stage. Like Bette and Dave were making magic and we were playing spades just on stage. Also we played Old Maid a lot, but Kate kept getting Old Maid and so we had to stop because she was sad. So I was very sad to leave the people, but it was like, I was so excited to be joining this company.
Yeah, give
So
him a round of applause too. So, also in my notes, I have a little thing about, because Steven backstage was talking about his daughter, who is adorable and 2.5 years old, and is growing into a theater kid. She's ready to be here at BroadwayCon.
Yeah, well, she's really into Moana right now. Like, she's been like in a weird, she will only show my wife and me affection in, no. But there is a scene, and we talk about this in the book Through the Window. There's a scene that was my favorite song. I know.
Way to plug.
I know,
way
right?
to plug.
Through the Window.
It's pretty.
You guys got this yet? It's
But there was a scene, a tiny little scene. It was only like 2 pages, with Evan and Zoe right before the assembly, and it was my favorite. That was like my favorite scene in the entire show, and my favorite writing. And I was always like, I'm never gonna cut that. Like that's my one. And then at a certain point off Broadway, we looked at each other, Ben, Justin, and I, and it was like, I don't think that's helping us. And it was for a lot of reasons.
What happened?
Well, it was a tiny little scene. It was a really intimate scene. It was right after she gave Evan the tie. Zoe came in, and they had this conversation where she said, Zoe basically says, my parents like when you're here. It's like you bring Connor with you, but not how they remember them. Not how they remember him better. Different. And he says, I think that's sort of
crying already.
He said, I think that's sort of what happens when people leave. They get to stay the way you want them to forever. Perfect. And it was like, well, so it was this moment where you got the sense of Evan's loss of someone, his father, really. And the problem with it was, first of all, we were like so close to the end of the act, and we were just like on this freight train and we're speeding, and it just always felt like, oh, like you could just feel, even though you liked it, it was like, oh, why are we sinking into this scene? And there was always a sense of, this is a spoiler, at the end of Act 1, when Zoe says to Evan, you don't know what you've given me, like when she kisses him, basically. It's such a surprise now because the last time we've seen them, she's rebuffed him, and we don't know where they stand.
Right.
And this scene was like, it was a baby step toward that, which felt like, oh, we were showing cause and effect. Like, they're coming back together, and then it leads to the kiss. But we realized without that scene, it was so much more surprising and so much more impactful that you don't know what she's going to say when they sit down in the bed together. And it's like, when she says what she says and she kisses him, you're so much more engaged with that moment.
Well, both of That Secret and the full script are available for sale here in BroadwayCon, one of those booths. I also am trying to pull this out right now, yeah. This book and this book. So guys, pick them up, they're very great.
I don't know what they do with them. I don't have a lot of them. I've saved a couple. I saved my Broadway debut one, and I saved the Macy's Day Parade cast. But I think those are the only two I have. And then I stole one for a friend.
Are they like keeping track of them?
Yeah, they hold on to most of them, I think, because they like auction them off every now and then. I think there's one here in some exhibit or something. Exhibit, like a museum.
Broadway Cares during that whole season.
Oh yeah, that was really fun. During the Broadway Cares Equity Fights Aid season, Will Rowland's family owns an auction house. And so Will, he's an incredible auctioneer, and would do like a live auction every night at the end of the show, which was pretty special. And Ben's final cast, this woman bought it for $35,000, and he went up from $0, went by increments of 500 all the way to $35,000, and this very rich woman came backstage with a black card and just swiped for $35,000. I was like, that's college!
Yeah, that's like full education.
Yeah, insane, truly insane. Great tax write-off, great write-off.
Great tax write-off. All right, so they're not just in like garbage bags in the back of the music box theater.
No, they keep them, but they're also like, it's just like a pretty simple, nasty fiberglass cast. So
that's such a weird thing about being a writer. If any of you are writers, it's so miraculous when you write something and people actually do it. Part of you is like, this isn't really going to happen. And then I remember being at Arena Stage and for the first time going backstage during probably Tech and seeing them sawing the cast off of Ben, everybody has goggles on, and I was like, whoa, they're really doing it.
I mean, waving probably.
Waving, yeah.
It's the song I fear the most.
You fear it the most? Why are you scared of
Yeah,
it?
I have stress dreams about waving through a window.
Wait, you have
just
stress dreams about
that
waving
last
through?
that final B flat on an I vowel. Who wrote that?
Hats.
Not me.
Can't complain.
Yeah, that probably for me. Because I still have anxiety about it.
Are you having anxiety about any songs?
No, just kidding. Literally kidding. I have anxiety about everything. I like singing in general. I feel like terrified of. So
Okay.
good part to play.
Yeah, great career path
yeah.
to enter into.
I don't know. I feel like also every time I've only done like a few runs of the show now, but every time we do a full run, my like favorite song of the night changes. Lately, I've been truly really into the Waving Through a Window reprise that Alana sings as she crosses down front. I'm like
The one you
backstage.
don't.
Yeah, truly the one I'm not featured in.
Not backstage,
I'm like,
just
yeah,
turn
the
it
people
upstage.
singing, give it up. Honestly, Anybody Have a Map is my jam.
It's a great song.
I love moms.
It was going to be my opening question, but it seemed
That's good.
a little too on point. Is there, has this kind of lit a bug in you, Noah, that you want to come back to do more musical theater?
We'd like to announce here that we're starring in the second revival of Sideshow.
Sisters. A little bit, yeah. I have, like I said before, I haven't like sang in a really long time, and this is maybe like miss singing a lot. This isn't Carly Rae in your car. This is.
I wish, I know.
This is, marathon singing, Olympic singing. So I don't think I ever wanted to do this again. No, that's not true. I'd very much love to continue playing this part. But yeah, I would like to. Ben had the wonderful opportunity of developing the show, and like I also said before, I was like the development kid growing up, and I really loved that. I loved being a part of like the creation and evolution of something. That was something I really enjoy.
You are supremely talented, so I don't want you to stop singing because you sound
thank you.
unbelievable.
Agreed.
You're so
Yeah, I'd like to have the opportunity of developing something of my own, in which I don't have to sing as much every night.
That's good. We have some questions coming in from the Twitter handle.
Ooh.
Favorite part of playing that? Sorry.
My favorite part of playing Evan. I don't know. I like working with these actors. I love working with all the women in all the women in the show are like lovely to work with. Jennifer Laura Thompson from day one just has given praise be. Has just like first time I got to work with her was in a put-in. Was in like a put-in rehearsal. I have 2 put-ins and a put-in. I like that we kept doing this. But she, from like the get, gave me like full tears. Gave me like her like 100, like from the get-go, and that was it's amazing. They're all very giving actors.
What was the second part?
Favorite part of the show.
I like the like middle of the second act
Too.
There's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of bits there, and I have shtick coursing through my veins, and I'm constantly being told, like, by Michael Greif, like, yeah, basically, he kicks people out of my dressing room all the time. Taylor's in my dressing room the other day, and he's like, "Can I whisper something in your ear?" And I was like, "Is it the same note you give me every day?" And he was like, "Uh-huh." And I was like, "Then no." And the note is, "Stop playing into the comedy, Noah."
Wait, my answer's the same, but for such a different reason. I like the middle of Act 2 because that's when it starts to get like so dark. Maybe I don't understand the play.
No, I
think you're talking about different parts of the second act, right? I like the middle of the second act because it feels like, for Evan, because that's when it really feels like you can't get off. I mean,
Yes.
he says the trick. Like,
Yes.
at that point as an actor, you're like strapped in.
That's what I love about the show,
Yeah.
is that he's like, it's so rewarding to like be on stage the whole time because you never get a chance to like check out. Curious Incident was like very much the same, but like once it starts, there's a lot of overlap though, like the main actor, like you get on stage and it's like, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for you guys is: this is such an important show. It means so much to so many fans. What message do you have to them? I mean, I know that everyone comes to you at the stage doors with their own personal stories. What message do you have for them walking away from the show? I know. It's a big one.
I don't know. I had being on the Real O'Neills. I had a lot of people, talking, like asking for advice, and it was mostly about coming out. But I think this sort of like, there's crossover here, and there's, this is sort of a nice like general. I always told people to like never isolate, like keep talking, always have a dialogue, and to take their time. It was always like the 3 things I would tell people. Yeah. So I think that's like nice general advice to give in any situation.
The message that and it changes every time I see the show, but the thing that really I find important to remember for myself, and that the show is really about, is that social media especially, but just the world we live in general, we believe that everybody's life is better than ours, and that everybody is having this beautiful, perfect, curated life, and we must be the only ones putting the pictures on Instagram that make it look that way, and everybody else, it really is that way. And I think that the show, it shows you that all of these people are lost and alone in their own way, and kind of have their own defenses and their own armor up around that. But ultimately, none of them is actually fully satisfied all the time or fully happy all the time. And once they accept that, I think there's the chance for true fulfillment on the other end of that.
Great advice. Guys, thank you so much for your